I go by Simon M. Brown because there's so many other Simon Browns. The first thing I did on Facebook in about 2006 was to friend every Simon Brown I could, and there are many of them. My favorite one, I guess my second favorite, lives in Scotland and is a model for kind of twee fashions. He has a great mustache. The M stands for Menard. I'm named after my great-grandmother Minna and the architect Menard Lefevre. He's my dad's favorite architect. What you're hearing right now isn't the sound of fire. It's my ensemble juice box. Alan Randall, Donahue George, and Folashade Abiyala. Realism, to me, is a philosophy of music that says, why can't music represent the world? Being a composer means listening. The city has always been a source of inspiration. There's music everywhere. When I was little, we lived in Alphabet City, Lower East Side. We were squatters. Horns, motorcycles, car alarms, backfiring, people shouting out of open windows. I would sort it into songs, the rhythm of my shoes as a metronome. The music of that neighborhood, like the rest of New York, has changed. Now it's laughter and e-bikes, the glee of early 20s. Voices are musical. I often get hypnotized by the sound of crowds. I try to hear them all at once, try to decide how aware they are of each other. Are they hearing themselves harmonize? A lot of people argue about whether music should stand on its own or whether it has extra meaning like words. What if it's all tied together? What if a protest is an orchestra? To me, it is. And you can't remove the music from 2,000 Yemenis asking for the right to travel. You can't remove the meaning from the music. The images you're watching, they represent those things. They mean those things. You can't unsee the images, train your eyes to just see shapes. And that's what music is, a bunch of shapes that we hear. And sometimes they represent things. That piece began as a field recording at a protest that included many deli owners who were fighting for their right to travel to and from the United States during the Trump administration. It was shot by Ben Tobin and edited and produced by Catherine Tolentino. But I guess you also want to meet me, so here I am in my noisy bedroom. Hey, it's important to me to go on the record about what realism means. Realism takes music that represents the world seriously. Vivaldi adding birds chirping to a piece of music, that means something. Nigerian drums that imitate speech patterns, that means something. Realism is music that represents something outside of that music. The practice of recreating the world's sounds hyper-realistically, that is realism. Organizing them aesthetically and presenting them as music. Music with a focus on accurate representation of life. Music that clearly represents, with no need for explanation. Music that uses or closely imitates the timbral, tonal, rhythmic, dynamic, and physical properties of human or naturally occurring sound sources. Music inspired by environmental sounds. Music that depicts life. That is realism. So, that's a lot of words, but let's take a look at some examples. Realism can have a social aspect too. In this piece performed by the Westfield State University Wind Symphony and Festival Choir, for their 150th anniversary, I wanted to depict the horrors that enslaved Americans went through. The dawn of modern U.S. education, and then a setting of We Shall Overcome, to provide some hope. Westfield was founded by Horace Mann, who was outspokenly anti-racist, and I thought this would be an interesting theme to play off of, since it's so pertinent to our daily lives. Realism also has a scientific aspect. How do we make certain sounds? How are certain sounds made? How do certain sounds sound like what they are? It's hard to talk about. Water has always fascinated me, and it turns out it's just a bunch of bubbles popping. Bloop, which is a low pitch that gets higher. In this piece, played by the Xanthoria Quartet, notes are water bubbles. As the piece continues, old iterations loop, layering. And then, by the end, you can hear the illusion of splashing water. This piece, performed by the Brooklyn College Orchestra, is more of a fantasy on water using the physical elements that I came across in the research. there continues to be music all around us, just like in this piece, inspired by early 2020, performed by Lead Lights Quartet. My most high-profile commission was from the Ethel Quartet and the Jerome Foundation for a piece called Get Around. It's always intimidating to write for a new group, especially when they're so experienced and well-known. What usually happens is I spend a long time thinking about a piece, worrying about what to write, worrying about how to write it, then it pours out in a day or two because the thinking and the worrying is the actual work. Writing it down is a specific skill, but it's only really necessary if your performers need something to read. Most of my music is hard to write because it rarely uses what we think of as notes. I'll play you the whole performance, and I'll cut in some of the score at interesting times so you can see what they're reading. Also, I'm not going to tell you what the subject material is. I'm sure you'll figure it out. Being a composer first occurred to me when I was 19 in community college and recovering from some wild high school years. The Berkshire's rich culture doesn't really reach the kids that grow up there. I've never been to Jacob's Pillow, for example. Far western Massachusetts is a strange place with hidden poverty and hidden ultra-wealth, and is surprisingly judgmental. With not much to do, most of us did drugs. Some kids later escaped the lifestyle, and in September 2006, after cutting off most of my friends in an effort to clean up, I found myself studying music theory at Berkshire Community College with Steve Murray. One day on my daily commute, it occurred to me that music could be both directly representational and as beautiful as any other music. It wasn't a new idea, but I felt that focusing on it and the possibilities of it was. So the first step was to learn to write. Multi-instrumentalist Jean-Yves Tabouty and I pushed Dr. Murray to offer musicianship classes. I started on a 4-movement ballet called The Mango Thief. At the same time, Tracy Wilson, the director of the Berkshire Music School, asked me to write for their community orchestra. The conductor, composer Norman Thibodeau, treated my music seriously, and the experience taught me a lot. I ended up at Westfield State studying with Andy Bonnacci. He taught me the basics of writing for orchestral instruments, guided me, and advised me to study with Tania León if I could. When it came time to look for grad schools, it was hard to convey my ideas of realism and music to admissions departments. I wanted to go to a top school, and I did a lot of legwork, but I got rejected year after year. A Wall Street financier commissioned me to write a piece for Wind Symphony and Choir. My mom mowed his lawn, but I invited him to the premiere too late, and he never talked to me again. Finally, I just moved to New York, got accepted to Brooklyn College, and studied with Doug Gears, Morton Subotnick, and, Tania León. Other teachers like Jonathan Zalbin mentored me in media scoring. Finally, I was surrounded by people who got what I was trying to do. And finally, there was work. I started working on movies, plays, and I got a few commissions here and there. The music you're hearing right now is a Young Composers Festival at the Brooklyn Public Library main branch. In 2021, Ethel and the Brooklyn Public Library collaborated to bring the 4 composers they'd commissioned the year before back for a festival. I got the Juice Box Ensemble back together, this time with Yuvraj Khanna and Ilya Dinov, and we did an hour of new music. These are some clips from the festival, never before released. Yep, this is an exclusive. In Bad Connections, I called friends and performers from the stage, pretending to be late to my own concert, and pretending to not be able to hear them. Their ringtones made the music while we improvised with our voices. For correspondence, we wrote letters to each other on an amplified table, while the letters' contents played over the speakers, and our voices, eventually overlapping, became more and more musical.
No anger, no hatred, no dread.
To me eating small birds.
Not even a small bear of resentment.
Extended this metaphor.
There was a time when I hoped one would eat her, but now she has borne this great gift. Your hand, sprawling across pages and pages of
Free range.
pillow white paper.
I'll grow into
Speaking of goods,
carry.
of course, a big name trinket. Expect the likes. Love lives.
Argos.
Dog, red life, night, tongue, blame, bone, knife, hook, stab, bread, knife,
now for something completely different. I have a lot of other projects too, and one of them, most notably maybe, is the collaboration with filmmaker Josh Dean, Good Composer, Dead Composer. We're going to show you a little bit of that right now. The concept is 4 albums of music, very eclectic, ranging from pop songs to ambient tracks to spoken word. And the catch is that you can play all 4 of the albums at the same time as a sort of sound installation. I got into sound installations when Seth Cluett came to Brooklyn College and gave a little talk about it. And I've been pretty obsessed since. This is something I'd wanted to do for a long time, but I didn't really know what to call it. So sound art fits. We're playing you a song right now, and there are accompanying videos. I asked the filmmaker Josh Dean if he'd want to do videos for every single track. It's 56. And he said yes. And this is a video we made of all of the videos cut together. Now this is 4 songs and 4 videos layered at once. And when you do this, it makes a 46-minute movie. And I'll let you listen to this. Before I sign off here, I just want to say some thank yous to Amy Frawley, Marcello DeRusso, and Tania León for making this possible. Composers Now is an incredible organization, and if you get a chance, you should check out some of the other composers' videos, because there's a lot of music that Spotify won't recommend you. So check out 2 or 3 more impact videos if you can. And thank you to Josh Dean for cutting this video together. He's my longtime collaborator, and you can check out his website at 5181productions.com. And also check out the Brooklyn Composers Collective. We'd appreciate it. Thanks for watching.
Contradiction, because I can't decide. There are plenty of